What's going on YouTube? Or Storm here, coming at you guys in the video. Now today we're going to be talking a little bit about the new Endymion Link 3. Now normally I don't do a lot of coverage of individual cards, mostly because I don't like regurgitating what articles you guys have probably already read. I like to kind of look at it from a different perspective, how the practical applications of the card are, and something that piques my interest, something that, I feel like has good applications. There were a few other cards revealed today, but, your typical article regurgitators will probably have already posted a video on these, so I'm not going to spend all that time on that. You guys are probably subbed to those guys already. So anyways, today I'm going to talk a little bit, however, about the Endymion Link 3. Now, it has been translated, so if you guys can't read moon runes, I will be reading the effect for you. I will also have a link down below in the description box if you haven't seen the other cards already. So this is Selene, the Sacred Sovereign of Magic. She is a light spellcaster, Link 3 with 1850 attack, that requires 2+ monsters, including a spellcaster. Now, the first thing right away that stands out to this is that this is immediately replacing Metatron. Now, the thing about Metatron as a card is that it was really good in the previous builds because most of the things you have are summoned from the extra deck. But part of the reason it's been cut is, well, there's better options, but also the fact that you don't, with current Endymion kind of Pendulum deck, you don't really have a lot of monsters that are summoned from the extra deck outside of your initial Link summon. So you're going to have Servant that was summoned from the Pendulum Zone. You're going to have maybe a Jackal that's summoned from the deck. You're going to have a Dark Worm that's been summoned out of the grave. So you're not going to be able to make Metatron. That's why some builds, the few builds that I have seen that are still playing, Link 3s are playing Deco Talker instead because it's easier to summon and the effect's a little more relevant. So straight away, that's the thing that stands out to me. This is also a little bit better, I think, than the Tenyi Link 3 that we're going to be getting. I think it's in the next set, Chime. Don't quote me on that, but it only requires 2+ monsters, so it's a little bit easier to summon the Metatron. But this is already better than that because it actually has a relevant effect to Pendulum deck. So what is its effect? So when she is Link summoned, you can place spell counters on the card equal to the number of spell cards on the field and in both players' graveyards. So straight away, when you summon this, more often than not, you're going to have something in scale and usually 2 cards, at least 2 spells in grave, maybe a spell on the board. This is immediately going to be at 3 or more counters in most situations. It also counts your opponent's spell cards. While that may not seem super relevant against decks like Sky Striker that put a lot of spells in the grave, this could have quite a few counters on it when it hits the board. And a lot of the Endymion and some of the other cards, like the Mythical Beast, for example, that you're playing, can pull counters off of anything. So being able to immediately have counters on summon and automatically makes all of your other things even better. So that is a pretty damn amazing effect in my opinion, and the fact that it's so generic, which I'm going to get to in a minute on how you would summon it, also helps with that. Your opponent cannot target this card for attacks while an Endymion card is on the field. So this also includes the field spell from the structure deck, so if that's on the board, they can't target this thing for attacks. I think having an attack protection effect on a small monster is really good card design, and locking it into Endymion also means that you can't protect it with something like Jackals on the field. They can still attack into this. So it means that if you might be interested in keeping like a big Master of Endymion on the board to protect this. And it also really helps the generic Endymion because now they have a Link monster that makes their field spell a little bit more relevant. Having the field spell up actually matters. So that's pretty good. I think it's good because it helps with the decks. But it's actually better in the deck it's designed for. I think that's a really good card design. And then the third effect is that once per turn during the main phase, now this is only in the main phase, but it's a quick effect. You can remove 3 spell counters from your field. That's anywhere, so not just her. You can special summon a spellcaster monster from your hand or grave in defense position to a zone this card points to. Now, summoning a defense position does mean you cannot bring a Link monster back with this, but that usually doesn't matter. You're going to be summoning usually Jackal King or the Big Endymion. If I'm not mistaken, the Big Endymion has about 2200 defense, and summoning it in defense mode is not that big of a deal because you can still activate its effect to be able to negate something, and if it does get run over, you get to search a spell card, which is pretty cool. I do think that, and the fact that this brings any spellcaster back means you can revive things like, let's say you've got a Chronograph Sorcerer sitting in the grave, you can revive that. You've got I'm thinking of something. This can bring a plethora of things back. Like I can think of it, like something like Dark Magician. You can bring back a Dark Magician with this to pop off Circle. You can bring back I'm trying to think of other spellcasters. You can bring back pretty much Mythical, and Cerberus and Jackal King are also things you can bring back with this. Now you can actually bring Cerberus out on your opponent's turn, and that's pretty darn good at you can do it during your main phase too. So that means that Cerberus is sitting in your hand, you can get it out of your hand and then use it as link material to keep climbing and doing more things. That is really, really good. I really think this now, as far as how would you summon this, because it needs one of the modern materials does have to be Spellcaster. In actual Endymion, you can use Daybreaker to climb into it, or something like Wee Witch. I know that's not the most, Daybreaker's not the most fantastic card, but it is the easiest link monster you would summon to bring this out. And Servant on its own puts 2 spellcasters online, so you'd literally just need another normal summon to turbo into this. It's really, really easy to summon as far as like your generic Pendulum deck. Servant and Darkworm on its own summon this. So as long as you can pop up Servant and have another normal or special summon, you can pop this off and go into this. It is incredibly easy to summon. And as far as like, well, if I'm playing a Pendulum Edition deck, how do I go into this? Well, I actually think it's not a bad idea to hold your Electromite and then make it underneath this, because then you can save your Electromite for extended combos. Now, what would I replace this? I actually think Triple Burst is a possibility to be replaced with this, simply because, and I do think it opens up a completely different non-Guard Dragon play style to play with the deck. I know, it seems a little crazy, but it would be an option, especially if by the time this comes out, maybe we have more Guard Dragon cards on the ban list, which is a possibility. I do think that having this will help. Now, as far as it is a Link Vrains Pack 3 card that is not going to be released till November. So when are we getting it? So I would say the earliest we could get this card would be Ignition Assault, which is supposed to come out, I think, late January. So this isn't going to be out for a while, and much like the other Link Frame cards like Needle Fiber, Wise Tricks, and some of the other cards we're still missing, we have virtually no idea when this is coming. I hope it's sooner rather than later, but it remains to be seen. So anyway, guys, that about comes to the end of the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed my talk on Selene. Let me know what you guys think of Selene down in the comment section down below. And as always, I thank you guys for watching. It's Warstorm, signing out.